So here we are in the next stage of this painting, and we're going to move into color. Um, Colors I put out on my palette are cadmium red light, yellow ochre, basically a burnt sienna, titanium white, sap green, cerulean blue, and gray violet. It's a whole bean color. Most of the rest of these are all Rembrandt. So I'm going to get started, and I usually tend to start with my darkest darks, and I'm going to pick up a bristle brush. Usually they're always filberts. Sorry. All right. So I always start out with a little bit of wind troubles here. I think I'm ready now. All right. So I got off without my my dark browns. So I'm going to make a darker brown. I'm going to take my burnt carmine, and I'm actually going to put a little bit of green, sap green, into it. They're complementary colors. They neutralize the intensity, and we'll set the color back. I've set a timer for like 25 minutes because my phone, my recorder seems to shut off by itself after about 25 minutes, and then I leave you hanging, so I'm hoping to not leave it hanging. And so this mirrors mane is some of my darkest darks. And there's several other darks around, but you can see this sap green with this burnt carmine. Okay, I don't think we're recording. Oh, yes, we are. Hi, we are. Sorry. I just didn't see it recording. Okay, so I'm going to keep working here. Green, burnt carmine, which is kind of a red violet with a little bit of black into it. Just bringing in some of my darkest darks, and I don't have a ton of them in here. I'm going to add a little bit of white to this. Kind of turns into a gray violet, which is exactly what I want for this tree. You can't be afraid to mix colors. I mean, there's a lot of colors that come naturally into it out of a tube, but sometimes just by mixing our complementary colors, we can get a lot of what we want. Complementary colors, what does that mean? Well, they're opposite each other on a color wheel. If you get a color wheel, there's like reds and greens are opposite each other on the color wheel. Violets and yellows or golds are opposite each other on the color wheel. Orange and blues are opposite each other on the color wheel. And when you mix opposites, you get some wonderful, what I call natural grays, or natural kind of earth tones. You get some really pretty earth tones. And once again, I'm just laying in the colors, the values. I'm sticking with my values, the darks into the halftones, right? I'm not losing my values. This warms up a little bit as it gets over here to this side. See that? And as we go through, we will be talking warms and cools. And I work pretty quickly because I'm always, it feels like I'm always fighting time. But, so anyway, so basically this tree is going in pretty sweet, and I don't have a single, the only brown I have is that burnt sienna, which is a very red brown, so I cooled it off. Okay. And then this just gets lighter out in here. And I'm working this tree from darks to halftones to light, because it'll kind of help me get everything else in place. Sometimes I do just all the darks first, but I felt like I just needed to get my tree grounded, which grounds me, I guess. Get me grounded. It's pretty light up in here. Making that root a little bit long. I'll probably shorten it up. Alright. So now what I want to do is go back to some of my darks. I'm wiping my brush out. I like these blue shop towels. You can get them at you can get them at Lowe's or Home Depot, someplace like that. Let's see, that's kind of a light color. That's more of what I want back here in this shadow area. Well, it works for that. Not quite what I want yet, though. See how making some grays without using black or white either. So let me come back in here to, let's try something a little different. Let's take this cerulean blue and this burnt sienna. Not a color I really want right now. Kind of works up there. After a color that I may have to get into my other colors. Okay, let's take that with this color. And what I'm trying to do is get this dark bank. And actually the purple that's already on there lends a lot towards it. So it feels like it needs more blue in it too, though. A little cooler. Excuse me. This got really blue, which is okay. All right, I have a tickle. I have to get a drink of water. We have to be willing to play with color, to mix color. That way, no matter where we're at and what we have in our arsenal, hopefully, we can get what we're looking for. I'm going to put out this other color, which is called Ultramarine Violet. And I'm just wanting a little bit more violet into my color mixture. A blue violet. I seem to have a lot of red violets going because the burnt carmine carmine, is a red violet. And I'm really looking for a blue or violet. There we go. Which has more of a true purple color to it. And that's really what I'm after in some of these areas, in the shadows. In fact, because I'm not real happy with this color that went in here, palette knife, and I'm just scraping some of that back off because it's not what I want. And that's part of it. You have to be willing to say, okay, I'm not happy with that, and be able to just dive right into it and remove it. I put orange in that. Gotta watch what I'm doing. My brush has a little bit of long bristle on it, which I'm not as happy with, honestly. It's more than I need right now. You'll notice with me, I'm never happy with the brush I've got, so I'm always hunting for a different brush. Filbert, a little smaller, shorter bristles. I have a little more control with this. And I'm kind of sketching this in like I did my values study. I'm just using this straight up violet. It's pretty, blue violet. Okay. I'm also going to bring this color into my tree. On this side particularly, where there's some deep ridges in the bark and they're cool. Now I wipe out my brush quite a bit because I pick up that other paint, the wet paint, and it muddies up. Dang it, I keep dropping stuff today. Alright, let's see. So, even on this blue violet that I've got, I'm going to take some of it. I'm actually going to modify this color over here a bit. It was a little too gray. I tend to like some coolness in my shadows. I'm just going to go ahead and build. There's some dappled light all the way through here. And I rather like this color for it. I never have a plan, really. I mean, I kind of know what I want in the end. But how I get there sometimes is an adventure. And you have to be willing to experiment, not get hung up on, well, this is blue, or this is, the ground is brown, so we got to have brown. That's a common mistake, is thinking what the color is instead of looking to actually see what the color is. Shadows, you can have warm shadows and you can have cool shadows. And being violet here, violet's kind of a neutral in temperature. And so we end up where it is neither warm or cold. I see this reflecting in here on this tree. Wherever I see a color, I tend to play it. If you're into a lot of detail and you want like photorealism, I'm not your girl to teach you in these videos. I have done it, but I've kind of outgrown it. Not outgrown it, but it's outgrown me. I just am not too interested in the photorealism. Really trying to just kind of loosen up. This tree, I mix the gold, yellow, ochre, pale, and this over here to bring up another color into this tree on this side, which is a reflected light, and it also is over here. So in my brown tree, has very little browns in it. It looks like it has browns, but it really has quite the mixture, and it has a lot of temperature changes in it. And I am going to shorten up that root. I just keep wiping out this brush. I guess I'm really enjoying this brush at the moment. Painting is building. We're building this painting. And it takes a lot of work, honestly, to build a painting. It takes quite a while. Just trying to decide whether to go to the mountains or to go to the tree, because I'm trying to work from my darks to my lights, and cerulean blue. Looking for another brush again. I try to use the biggest brush I can get into an area so I don't have to noodle it to death. Sometimes it just takes way too much paint on a little brush. Takes too much action. Flat brush would work well in this area too with these peaks. This filbert is kind of softening out the edges, and honestly, I would be able to have more control of these edges if I would grab a flat brush, if I have one. Cerulean blue is working pretty well for this. A little bit of white into it as it lightens up. There's a back hill that lightens up back in here. Let's see, do I have a flat brush? Well, we shall try this one. I take my cerulean blue and I'm going to add a little bit of the blue violet to it, and I'm going to add some white to it. More cerulean. It got too light. I don't know if you could see my mixture. Probably not. move my, there we go. Probably works better, right? Okay. Let's see how this is going to come about. I'm working wet on wet paint because the paint from yesterday, from this value study and this burnt carmine, is still wet, and so I have to be able to just work with it. Know that it's going to change my color a little bit, and that's okay. At this point, I have to have quite a bit of paint on the brush so that I can get somewhere with it. All right. Color changes in some of these other, I know you can't see what I'm painting from, but trust me, I guess. Just see how it evolves. Painting around the leaves, some people are like, well, do you just paint over? Like, the predisposition is to go ahead and paint the mountains and then bring the leaves over, paint the sky and then bring the leaves over, and that's okay. It just sort of tends to, I don't know, it changes it for me. I like to have a color where it belongs. I don't want to. It takes a lot of painting, and you end up painting what's called the sky holes, where you come in and paint the sky into some of these areas. But these get pretty light down here at the base. Anyways, my attitude, if you're going to paint, let's not get hung up too much. These are like little studies for me. They're not something that I'm really stressing over. For one thing, it's fun, and has me painting again. Mixing my blues and my violets. There's a hill back here. And it comes down around this mesa top. Looks messy. Looks yummy. We might be getting close to our 30 minutes. We'll see. Once again, it gets lighter down in here. So these more forward hills actually get a lot more violet in the shadows. They're closer. a little bit of yellow ochre into this violet. It kind of grays it down a bit, so it's not so intense back in here. Anything that's too intense comes forward, and we really want to set this back a bit. We don't want it pushing forward. And that helped recede it quite a bit. I'm going to say it, which I do say, but I'm going to say it again. I've said it before. It's the shapes of the values that give us the form. It's not lines. All right, I'm going to stop this right here and see how we're doing.